Thank you, Ron. That was beautiful. Thank you. Hello, everyone.
Hi.
You're all here, and apparently you're not sugar. You didn't melt out there in the rain. The rain kind of feels good, doesn't it?
Yes.
I was noticing that when I was driving over. I came over from Kirkland and drove around this morning and going back to the islands when I leave here. And I was noticing how you can almost feel the trees just going, yeah. Yeah, it feels so good. It really does. It's great to be with you this morning. And I've been thinking a lot about things since the last time I was here when we talked about Ernest Wilson's, the great physician, and talking about how all things produce after their kind. I've been looking at the world and thinking about that, and how does that really apply? And does it really apply? And oh my goodness, does that apply? And so I wanted to kind of build on that today. I read this wonderful little, I was reading an email from someone that teaches a teacher, and he was talking about autumn, this time of autumn. And he says, the idea of autumn waking things up rather than putting them to sleep is easy to believe as the hills come alive with blazing colors that have lain dormant under the green chlorophyll coating the leaves. Through spring and summer, the blazing colors remain hidden under the green. When September's cool nights and warm days peel off the coating and reveal the astonishing palette that has lain in wait for months, it's hard not to feel a huge surging release of primal life force. Have you ever thought of it like that? That those rich colors are underneath the green, just waiting for their opportunity to come forth? It's like, well, I never thought of it like that before. And in many ways, and what he was expanding on was the idea that in many cultures, autumn is the beginning rather than an ending. And in our culture, that's true in our school system. Schools start in the fall. The new year begins in the fall. And so he was talking about that and expanding on that because for a lot of us, we start to think about endings. Oh, summer's over. Oh, playtime's over. Oh, like that. And the truth is, it is a great beginning in many ways. And again, whether we're thinking of it as an ending or a beginning, we decide what it is. Do you get that? From all we've talked about over the months and years together, do you get that you are deciding what it means? You're always deciding. That's what Ernest Wilson was talking about. That whatever it is produces after its kind. It means that what we're holding is true is producing after its kind. So it's very important what you're holding is true. And for many of us, for most of us, I dare say all of us, some of the beliefs that we hold are so deeply in there, embedded in there, because it's what we've been told our whole lives. Right? It's what we've been told our whole lives. And so it's going to take some effort to pull out those weeds and loosen up that soil, right? Those of you who are gardeners know that doesn't happen with just the blink of an eye, does it? Not to say that it couldn't, but for the most part, it doesn't. It takes some effort. And I'm going to say that that's most likely true, especially for those embedded beliefs that are in there, those beliefs that say, I'm not enough. I'm not okay. Nothing good ever happens to me. Nobody really cares. Now, if you don't have any of those beliefs in you, you go ahead and get some coffee. You can start on the brunch now. But if you do, let's talk. Let's talk. The reason it's most important, it's always been important to understand this. New thought thinkers have been working with this for a long, 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 long time because it's always been true. It's never not been true. It's just in our waking up that we become to be aware of this. And again, and you've heard me say this many times, our culture tends to operate with the understanding that life is happening to us, right? And that life is a series of defensive moves. Right? Exactly, Nora. Like that. To get around it, to move around life coming at us. And as we wake up in consciousness, we come to understand that life isn't happening to us, life is happening through us. Through us. And isn't that a huge shift in energy? Why? Because it claims and admits and states that we have a part in it. And for many of us, that's good news because it gives us the opportunity to impact change. For many of us, it's bad news because it means we have to take responsibility. Right? Oh, no. Joanna, are you going to say that again? Yeah. Because it's the truth of it. And we've been teaching this all along. And all the teachers that you read, you go to their workshops, and they tell you this in one form or another. This is what they're telling you, right? But what we need to get, my dear friends, as we look around in our world, it's time to really get this. And that's why we're here. Do you know that? You're not just here taking up space. There's a reason why you're here. You are, what was it, Marilyn, in the Daily Word? God being God in me? God being God in me. It's coming home to roost, my friends. Indeed, God is accepting the invitation. Because God has to be invited. Do you get that? Do you understand that? Divine essence, the all that is always there. Always, always there. And never, never intrudes. Never comes in without our permission, because that's the deal. That's the whole free will thing. That's the opportunity for growth, awareness, consciousness, uplifting ourselves to the next best thing, to the next evolution of who we are as we choose the truth of us. That's why we came here. Not just for the food. Do you get that? Questions or comments? Do you get it? Does that ring true inside of you? Because here's the thing. Here's where it comes down to brass tacks, as they say. Do you ever look up those sayings in Google now? The sayings that we've always said, but now you want to know where they came from? I'll look that one up. Getting down to brass tacks. Here's the thing. We have operated from a negative place collectively for so long. The collective awareness is life is happening to us. And indeed, because of coming from that place, thoughts held in mind produce after their kind, there's been a whole lot of stuff coming at us, right? Why? Because it's what we've been holding as true. There's no surprise here. But we're now getting down to a place where we're painting ourselves into a corner with it. Do you get that?
Yeah.
Yeah, on lots of levels. And so now the opportunity is is as conscious beings, it's time for us to begin to shift course. Got to. Got to. Now, the same things are true that were always true. But when there's now, the planet is so full, what have I read? That the planet can easily carry, I'm sorry, I forget, it's either 1.9 or 2.9 billion people. And we have over 7, right? Billion people? Things are getting a little crowded, wouldn't you say? And so it's 1.9 or 2.9. I think it's 1.9. But we're at 7. And the collective consciousness is that life is happening to us, or you can't trust anybody, or things are going to happen, or there's the wrath of God. How about that one? And if you think that that's not there, take a look at your insurance policy. Is there not a rider in there for acts of God? That God did it to you? And whether or not your insurance covers that when God does that to you? I mean, really? But it's in there. Because it's been our collective belief for generations. It's happening to us. And God gets mad. Boom! You never know what's going to happen. But indeed, that's been the collective belief. So things unfold on the planet as if things are happening to us because thoughts held in mind produce after their kind. And so it's this endless wheel because we then use those things happening as evidence to prove that that's the truth of it. Right? So how does it ever change? It changes with us, conscious beings, each one of us who understand the truth of it and begin changing our beliefs. One by one. Does that make a difference? Oh, you bet it does. Why? Because we're all one. We're all connected. And if we start making the effort to pull out those weeds and loosen that soil, it's going to make a difference. And my goodness, my friends, it's time. Okay, Joanna, that sounds great. So how do we do that? Last time when I was here, remember Ernest Wilson said, don't focus on the evil, focus on the good. And with persistence. Now, this is not denial of that it's going on. Please hear me. This is not Pollyanna. This is not going, la 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 la. It's not happening. It's not happening. What I see there is not happening. No. Doing this is an actual admission that it is happening. Right? No. It's I see that it's happening, and I claim the divine essence in the midst of what is happening. And we have to practice this, my friends. And there's lots to practice on, if you've noticed. So when you look at the pictures of the destruction in the Bahamas, and it seems to be fairly complete, does it not? Go ahead and send your money to the Red Cross or the Salvation Army or the Mercy Corps or whatever, or make your pilgrimage there to help, or whatever it is that you're called to do. Great. Yay. Thank you. But at the same time, and give absolute equal power to you standing there looking at that and claiming the divine in the midst of it. Call it forth. Divine light, divine order, divine truth, God, divine essence, universal power, whatever you name it. It doesn't matter. It goes by all your names. It's the intention. Call it forth. When you see those people standing in line, waiting to go anywhere, Call forth divine order in the midst of it. Call forth divine essence leading the way. Call it forth. Divine essence in me. Open the doors and windows to solutions to this problem, to this challenge, whatever it is. And it goes for those great big things that we all see and experience to the very small things. Divine order in me. Bring forth the patience that this is always the longest line that I happen to be standing in. And please, I let go of my belief that I'm always standing in the longest line. Because thoughts held in mind produce after their kind. And then I'm in the longest line, and therefore it becomes my proof that I'm always standing in the longest line. Right?
Yeah.
Right.
Divine order, divine essence. Open my eyes to the truth of divine timing, of divine order. That it may be that if I'm in the longest line in this moment, it's my opportunity to stand here and be present with you. To bless everyone around me. Remember when we've talked about that? That's the opportunity to bless everybody. In this line, in the line over there, the ones behind, the ones in the parking lot. Bless everybody. And if you're in a situation where you're looking for an answer, you don't have the answer, you don't see the answer, it's not apparent, remember that God is being God in you, and claim that and open the doors and windows. In this circumstance, I let God be God in me. I let God be God in this circumstance, whatever it is. And then trust that the answer is going to be there. May not be exactly what you were anticipating, maybe not even be what exactly you were wanting, but I promise you it will be what's necessary. Because that God that is being God in you sees the whole picture. We only see this much of it. And we're looking at everything from this vantage point, right? So we know what we want based on this vantage point, right? So doesn't it make sense to open up to what has the whole picture? I don't know about you, but have you ever had, I want this, I want this, I want this, I want this, and then you get it and you go, well, maybe not. Because I didn't see the whole picture. I just saw what I thought it was supposed to be. And it goes so much further, opening up to the divine mind, divine illumination. Show me. We've got to look under the surface, just like the teacher in that quote said, that the gold and the red and the brilliant colors under the green chlorophyll of the summer leaves. That those leaves release that chlorophyll covering to its glory. We have to be aware and believe that that glory exists under everything. Even the worst of it. Even the worst of it. Questions or comments about that?
That's all of what the Course in Miracles and why it's so understanding the importance of over and over and over those 365 lessons. How do you change those thoughts? Is that practicing all those lessons.
Indeed.
Ongoing.
Indeed. It's all about practice. Because, as we've said, our way of doing things has created quite a mire, hasn't it? It's created a path. It's created a rut in the path. And what we have to do is create a new rut in the path of positive thinking, of believing that it's all going to work out because God is being God through that circumstance. And I'm saying yes to it because we understand we have to say yes to it. It isn't just going to happen. The beauty of the world around us, and we are so blessed where we live here to have so much beauty. That's the thing that the natural world is reminding us all the time. It comes in saying yes. There's no no in the natural world. It trusts the process, does it not? Have you ever noticed a tree or something saying, oh, no, I'm not going to do that. Now, I had a fig plant once that I thought maybe could have said that. It seemed like it was saying that because it kept dropping its leaves. But the truth of it is that it wasn't happy in the spot where it was getting a draft, and they don't like that. It was just showing me the problem. But the natural world doesn't say no to the divine. It allows constantly God to be God through that flower, through that cloud, through that tree, through that wave. Always. And that's what it's constantly reminding us as we get stuck, as we make it hard. And we do, don't we? We make it hard because we think it has to look like this, or I don't see it. I look at that incredible destruction in the Bahamas and think, I don't see it, God. And if I'm listening, God says, dear one, trust me. The creator energy of all life, do you think that energy doesn't know how to regenerate itself? How to recover? How to embrace whatever's happened there? Whether it's death, whether it's survival, whatever it is. Do you think there's something out of the divine's embrace? And something may come to mind to you right now. Well, are you sure? Yes, I am sure. And if you feel into your heart is sure too. There are things out there, people, places, and things that don't appear. Yeah, that's right. And they produce after their kind, which completely explains why we are where we are. But can it be healed? Of course it can be healed. Because the truth of us is God being God in form. All this other stuff that's happening is us operating from a place of not knowing that, or not believing that, or not accepting that. Does that make sense to you? Do you get that in each moment of now, the rest of today, tomorrow, next week, whatever is coming, if you can practice before you freak out, practice. It's okay if it's after you freak out. Fine, that's fine. What'll be even more efficient is when you can do it before you freak out, but whenever you get there, practice declaring the divine presence in this, whatever it is. There's no limits. It's in relationships. It's with money. It's with health. Are you dealing with a health challenge, or somebody you know and love is dealing with a health challenge? See divine in the midst of it. In the midst of the pain. Did I tell you about my dear friend who's went from being fine to being in hospice? Did I tell you? I can't remember if I told you that. Dear friend of mine. She had breast cancer 5 years ago. Did I tell you that? And she got her all clear. She had her mammogram. She got her all clear just a few months ago. We were celebrating that. And yay. And then she started feeling really poorly, and she had some tests done, and indeed she doesn't have breast cancer in her breast anymore. She has it everywhere else. And so she's been given a short time and is already as a hospice nurse. And fortunately, the meds they're giving her are working, so she's not in pain right now, which I'm very grateful for. And the hospice nurse told us that at some point the meds will stop working and she'll decline very quickly. So I tell you that because what she has told me and would want me to impart to all of you is that since this has happened, beyond the shock of it, she says she feels like there's this soft blanket or embrace that's come around her. And now what she understands is that all there is love. That's all. And that everybody she sees, she knows, and is beautiful, and is loved. And she said, and all the stuff in life that drives her crazy, just like it drives us crazy, no longer matters. No longer matters. And we talked about this, and she said, you know, Joanna, I'm pretty sure this is how it really is anyway. And so for you and I, we don't have to be in hospice to get this. That embrace is available to us always. And we can see life as love in expression always. We have to choose it. And she, my dear friend, can be the reminder of that. She says, I'm not afraid. What's to be afraid? She says, oh yeah, the unknown. Who knows what that's going to look like, how that's going to feel in that moment. None of us know until we enter it. But she says, but with the love that I feel for this life and for everyone in it, how bad can it be? And so we can take that invitation from her in this moment. You and I can do this. We are here to do this. If you feel like you're not accomplishing a purpose, or here you are at this point in life and you still aren't doing this and you still aren't doing that and you don't have this and you should have had this by now, blah, blah, blah. Let it go. Begin again right now. That your task, your purpose, is finding the divine light and divine love in each moment. And sometimes it's hiding. Use your heart, your spirit, to find it. Or just call it forth. It'll take care of itself. Just call it forth. Just open those doors and windows. See the doors and windows opening so the divine light can penetrate whatever this is. Whether it's the fairy line, whether it's your checkbook, whether it's your indigestion, whatever it is. You can do this. That's why you are here. I promise you. And if you're feeling lost in this life, go here. Check this, because I promise you, as you begin pointing to, identifying, and allowing the divine light, divine love, divine illumination, divine wisdom, divine order to come through each and every moment, believe me, you're going to feel your purpose. Your God being God in this life through you. There is no greater purpose. And if you still want to start a business or go on a trip, yay, go, do it. Yay, that's great. But know that you've met your purpose and take that with you and watch what a trip, what a business, what it'll be as a result. Questions or comments about that? Anything?
Yes,
Is-
Hide and seek.
What?
Feels like hide and seek sometimes.
It does feel like hide and seek sometimes. But the reason, thank you for saying that, Nora, the reason is because we haven't yet locked in on our own belief in the power of divine essence. And so it can be elusive because we're still dancing with that part of us that doesn't quite believe it. And have all these years of evidence that we can pull out to say, see right there? But you come to understand that the reason that could occur because it was coming from my own disbelief, my own unwillingness, or couldn't because of all the beliefs that have been piled in on me. I couldn't go there, and so it couldn't show up.
Got the evidence that I've got the evidence that it's there, but
And so what's the answer, Nora? Practice.
practice it.
Practice. You know, the reason they tell us to go to the gym all the time, go to the athletic club, go to the whatever, is, so that you can practice strengthening your muscles so they get strong. So you can easily walk, or you can easily run, or you can easily get up out of the chair. Because you're practicing the use, because if you don't use your muscles, what happens? They atrophy, and they atrophy really quickly. It's amazing how quickly they atrophy. You get stiff really easily, don't we?
Dr. Bruce Lipton puts it so well when he said it's like the conscious mind. You can think, oh, this is great. Oh, yeah, I'm going to do this. Oh, yeah, I want to go on this, that. Next thing you're down here, who ate that whole cake? He said, how does the subconscious learn that runs us? Repetition. How did you learn your ABCs? How did you learn to drive a car before it becomes automatic? So it is that conscious
Absolutely.
repetition.
Yes.
And I find my practice has a hard time showing up when my adrenaline is turning on, when the fight or flight boom has happened.
Mm-hmm.
That's when I forget.
It's easy, isn't it? And so knowing that, then that's when you want to bring yourself back around. And it'll take as long as it takes, and it'll get sooner. It'll get sooner if you keep practicing. And the law in the Conversations with God material, God talks about the law of opposites. And I always found that to be really helpful. He said the law of opposites, because anytime we declare something as true,
Everything unlike it.
everything unlike it comes into the space. And so you begin to think, oh gosh, maybe it's not true. Or, oh gosh, I didn't do this right. No. It's like everything else comes into the space, because if we declare something is true, we now have to get rid of all the places in us where the opposite belief still lives. And so it has to come up. This stuff has to come up. In fact, by declaring, I am prosperous, and I did this once, I was I don't know, was it a prayer meeting or retreat or something? And it was about prosperity. And we all declared ourselves as prosperous, and I had a flat tire on the way home. And it was like, oh, really? Really? But see, here's the thing.
You had a spare.
Yeah, yes, I did, thank God.
So you were prosperous, you had your spare.
Yes, but in the moment it didn't feel like that because I don't know how to change a tire. I had to call somebody, blah, blah, blah. But the point is that everything unlike that declaration has to come up, because it can't start shifting our experience until we clean that out. Because we're giving mixed messages until we're really clear. Bless you. Do you get what I'm saying? We have to do.
That's what's going on in our world. Everything unlike love is coming up.
That's right. You've heard me say many times that there's more love on the planet than there ever was. And that's why we're seeing the most horrendous stuff, because love's what love does, and think about it in your life. When you declare love or accept love in your heart, love seeks everything unlike itself and brings it up to be healed. Why? To make room for more love. That's what it does. And so we may think, oh my, and there are many a couple that I have worked with who stood up in front of the world and did their vows and claimed love and stuff, and then the relationship falls apart. In fact, that's very, very common. And for many people, it scares them to death and they run to opposite corners, and a lot of them split up right there. And it's like, wait a second, wait a second, wait a second. Do you understand what's happening here? You two have declared love. So anything unlike that inside of you, from your experience, from other relationships, all that stuff, it comes up to be healed, to make room for more of this love that you're declaring, that you're inviting in. Love wants all of you. Absolutely, all of you. Love requires all of you. Why? Because it's who you really are. And so when you say love, yes, it goes, yay, finally. And it embraces you. And in that embrace, it brings to the surface everything unlike it. So that can be healed. It's not an attack. Does that make sense? Do you get that? Does that help? Does that help? And it's true. And Nora, it's true. We have to practice. Will it happen on the first time? No. Unless it does. And if it does, yay. Good for you. You're that much further down the road. But use it. Don't get discouraged. Use it as a touchstone, as a measurement that says, I've still got work to do. Practice. Where is the love in this? What would love do now? Look under the surface. That is our task. Look under the surface. Look under the green leaf for the brilliant colors. Look, it's there, I promise you. Questions or comments? Yes, sir.
I think of a pot of something boiling and all the impurities are rising to the surface to be healed.
Perfect. Did you get that? Did you hear that? She thinks of a pot as boiling, and as it's boiling, all the impurities or whatever come to the surface to be healed. And they do, don't they? That's a good metaphor. Thank you. So let's accept the invitation that my friend Quinn has extended. And if it feels comfortable, just get comfortable in your seat, and if it's comfortable, close your eyes. Feel the chair supporting you here, and feel the floor supporting the chair and the earth beneath the floor. And breathe. Breathe in and out. Breathe clear down to your toes. Inhaling, exhaling. Letting go of any tension, any uncertainty, any fears and doubts. Breathing. And as we breathe, God, dear God, or if God isn't the word for you, divine love, divine essence, universal truth, whatever name you give it, that essence of life. God, be God in me now. And as I claim that, I feel this soft blanket come over around me. And you decide, is that a woolen blanket? Is it a fleece? Is it one of those microfiber things that are so soft you can't imagine how they made it? Is it a favorite blanket that you're familiar with? Let that blanket come over you. Embrace you. Remind you that you are indeed God in form. Breathing, feeling the warmth. And realizing that this embrace is available always. You just have to allow it. And from this place of embrace by the divine, see that blanket, that embrace coming over all life. See that embrace, a blanket of warmth, of comfort, of safety, coming over each one of the people who are displaced in this world for whatever reason. Adults, seniors, children, animals, wildlife. See that blanket of comfort, that blanket of wisdom come over our leaders throughout the world. And as we say yes and accept it, so do they. And if you know someone in particular who is struggling, who is challenged, see that blanket of comfort, support, divine order come over them. And if it's comfortable, feel free to say their names aloud. That blanket of embrace, of comfort, divine love, God being God through this embrace. Dear God, I say yes. Enfold me, embrace me, lift me up. For in saying yes, it frees Spirit to do its work in you, through you, as you. And for our dear Reverend Linda, let us see that beautiful blanket of welcome, divine embrace, enfold her as she accepts our invitation. She's stepping into the unknown because she believes in herself. She believes in you. And most of all, she believes in the divine, God being God through this process. And we celebrate it. And we're grateful. And we look forward to this new beginning. Divine beloved, we say yes. We open our doors and windows. We pull your garment of love, support, comfort, safety over us, and we keep it there. And as we do so, all life is lifted up. For we are one, and we are grateful. And so it is. Amen. And so if you'll take a deep breath, and as you feel ready, open your eyes. Blessings, everyone.